Hi. So for today, we have chapter 17, which is titled The Pea Shooter Campaign, Phase 2. Now, the pushcart peddlers were as surprised as the police commissioner by the reports of new attacks on trucks. General Anna summoned everyone to Maxie Hammerman's to find out whether any peddlers had not turned in their pea shooters as ordered. Everyone had. Even Harry the hot dog, whom General Anna questioned privately, gave General Anna his word that, as much as he hated to do it, he had turned in his shooter and every pea pin in his possession. The mystery was solved when the P-TAC squad caught several boys between the ages of 8 and 10 shooting down trucks near Manhattan Bridge. The boys were using shooters very much like Frank the Flowers, and the police demanded to know where they got them from and whether they knew Frank the Flower. The children said they had never met Frank the Flower, and that they had just made the pea shooters themselves from the description of Frank the Flower shooter in the newspapers. One of the boys had even made himself a hat just like Frank the Flower's, though the flowers stuck in the hatband that he had were made of paper. There's these little boys shooting down truck tires. The P-TAC squad confiscated the shooters from the children and told them to please not make any more. But by that time, other children had the same idea, and there were soon children all over the city making shooters and shooting at truck tires. Frank the Flower clubs sprang up in several neighborhoods of children. The P-TAC squad no sooner caught one gang of children than they received a call about another and another. And since there were in the city many, many more children between the ages of 8 and 10 than there were pushcart peddlers, there were, at the height of the children's campaign, even more flat tires than had been just before Frank the Flower's arrest. One day, Big Mo reported that 36 out of his 72 trucks were all laid up with flat tires. The whole thing was a scandal, he said. Any minute, he warned, these hoodlums will start shooting innocent people, and then perhaps the police commissioner will do something. Curiously, the children did not start shooting at people or cars or taxis or even bicycles with their pea shooters. There seemed to be a clear understanding among the children that this was a war against the trucks, and that it was much more fun to keep it that way. During this phase of the pea shooter campaign, all of the 5 and 10s in the store did a brisk business in selling tacks and pins. The children found that both worked equally well. Grocery stores had a great many calls for dried peas, and florists reported a surprising increase in business from customers between the ages of 8 and 10. Morris the florist began making up small bunches of day-old flowers suitable for hat bands and selling them at a special low price to anyone under the age of 10. It was natural that the truck drivers should have been unnerved by phase 1 of the pea shooter campaign, but when they did not know who was shooting at, It was natural that the truck drivers should be unnerved by phase 1 of the pea shooter campaign when they did not know who was shooting at them. However, they were now even more unnerved by phase 2 after it had been established that it was children who were doing the shooting. As there were children all over the city, the truck drivers did not feel safe anywhere anymore. If there was a child anywhere in sight, a truck driver hesitated to leave his truck and make even a delivery or have a cup of coffee. Most drivers thought twice about driving down a block where they could see children at play. And although only a small number of the children of the total in the city Although only a small number of the children in the total in the city were actually involved in shooting, It was almost impossible to judge from appearance alone which children might have pea shooters concealed in their jackets. One driver's suspicions got so out of hand, he had his own children searched for pea shooters every night before dinner. When the children realized that the truck drivers were afraid of them, it was hard for them to resist teasing the drivers. Even those children so strictly brought up that they would never have thought of shooting at a truck tire, much less joining a Frank the Flower crew. Even they got a good deal of satisfaction just hanging around parked trucks and making them nervous. 2 or 3 children had only to stand on a sidewalk near a truck to give the truck driver the jitters. "Don't trust any of them," Big Mo instructed his drivers. "If a kid gets within 100 feet of your truck, clobber him." Well, unfortunately, clobbering children made enemies of even the most reliable children. Matters went from bad to worse. Truckers driving through blocks where children were just playing panicked and stepped on the gas, and as a result, were often arrested for speeding. When policemen halted a truck to write out a speeding ticket, the truck was what Frank the Flower fans called a sitting truck, or an easy shot when they were pulled over from the police. The truck drivers could not win. The Frank the Flower clubs had a whole language of their own. The expression, "don't be a truck," replaced, among the Frank the Flower fans, an earlier slang of "don't be a dope," or "don't be a jerk," or "don't be a square." Although "don't be a truck" is an expression that we all use today, it dates back to phase 2 of this pea shooter campaign. "You're a crackpot," as an expression of affection, also originated with the Frank the Flower fans, who used the phrase to mean you're one of the good guys, you're a prince, a buddy, a doll, a sweetheart. The use of this expression undoubtedly inspired the popular polka tune of the time, "Be My Little Crackpot." The motto of the Frank the Flower clubs was, "A Frank the Flower man is respectful toward police commissioners, automobiles, taxis, and older people, and death on trucks. A Frank the Flower man is loyal, clean, and a good shot." Members of the children's crew greeted each other in a kind of code. "Hiya, bachelor," was one popular coded greeting, to which the proper reply was "Hiya, button," or "Hiya, rose," or to which "Hiya, bud" was the correct answer. Each club had its own variations. For some it was "Hiya, sweet," and the correct response was "Hiya, pea." For another it was "Hiya, Chris," and "Hiya, Ethemum." And for another it was "Hiya, hiya," to which the proper response, if you were in the club, was "Hyacinth," or "Hiya, Daff." "Did you say Hiya, Daff?" "I said Hiya, Daff." "Oh yeah, Hiya, Dill." The American ambassador to Russia acquired a reputation for a quick wit when a sharp-tongued Russian diplomat addressed him at a party by his first name. To the diplomat's greeting, "Hiya, John," the ambassador responded without batting an eyelash, "Hiya, Quill," a nickname that stuck to the Russian for years. The ambassador's retort led to the President of the United States being asked at his next press conference whether his ambassador was actually a member of a Frank the Flower club. In defense of the ambassador, the president simply grinned and replied, "Don't be a truck." This response, although it lost the president the support of the trucking industry, greatly increased his popularity with both automobile drivers and pedestrians. While English teachers did not approve of the president speaking in such a slangy way, the majority of voters were impressed with the president's detailed knowledge of what was actually going on in the country. The general public had mixed feelings about the children's part in the Pushcart War. A few agreed with Big Mo that shooting at trucks was hoodlum behavior and should be severely punished. But The majority of people took the attitude that children had always had pea shooters, and that the pea tax shooters was just a passing trend. A respected child psychologist of the period said that in attacking the trucks, the children were expressing resentment of parents who pushed them around. It is a classic case, they said, of little guy against the big guy, said the psychologist. The psychologist's advice was that it was better on the whole, for the children to be killing trucks than their parents. To forbid them to shoot any trucks, he suggested, might create worse problems. And this made parents start thinking twice about taking a firm hand against the children about the trucks. The pushcart peddlers did not know what to make of the children's campaign. It bothered Harry the hot dog that any 8-year-old could get away with flattening a truck while he had to stand idly by. He was much more put out by a rumor that a 9-year-old boy in the East Harlem section of the city had killed almost as many trucks in 1 week as Harry had killed in the opening week of the pea shooter campaign. Well, whose war is this anyway? Harry demanded. They're making a joke of it, he complained in a meeting that General Anna had called to discuss the situation. This war is a serious business. To pushcart peddlers like us, it's a matter of life and death. Our livelihood's on the line. These kids are making it like a big picnic, a big joke. They're all laughing at us. Some joke, said Morris the florist. Killing thousands of trucks? I say let them joke. But why is it a joke? Asked Papa Peretz. Maybe they seriously don't like the trucks as well, and they're just having fun while doing it. A big truck hits a little kid. Is that a joke? I tell you, no. Kids today are much more smart than you're giving them credit for. Well, all those clubs, all those clubs, Harry said. They're making Frank the Flower look silly. They're even making fun of his hat. Maxie Hammerman laughed. For 20 years, I have made fun of Frank the Flower's hat, and he doesn't care. He's very proud of that hat, and these children do not change that. Also, added Morris the florist, the club members are writing letters to Frank the Flower in jail. It's nice to get letters when you're behind bars. Chapter 18. What have we got here? Looks like a magazine. Chapter 18. The retreat of the trucks and rumors of a buildup on the fashion front. Now, although the children's pea shooter campaign may have been, as people said, a craze that would have died as suddenly as it started, the truck drivers could not afford to wait around idly and see. At the height of the children's campaign, the casualties of trucks were so heavy that the truck companies had to take all of their trucks off the streets. This retreat of the trucks made it very pleasant for the people who wanted to drive around the city and people on bicycles or doing errands or a little sightseeing. It was delightful to see taxis be able to zip around corners again or make U-turns, and snaking in and out among women drivers as gaily as they had in the days before the trucks had taken over the city. Even the women drivers seemed to enjoy it. After years of battling with trucks and dodging the taxis, this seemed like a game. One sporting lady even blew a kiss to a taxi driver who clipped her fender and called out to him, "Well done." It so charmed the taxi driver that he towed the lady to a garage and bought her a whole new fender and took her out to dinner and married her. Indeed, everyone was in the best of spirits that first day that the trucks did not appear on the streets. It was like a holiday. The buses were loaded with ladies out shopping for new hats and perfume. Fathers took the afternoon off from their offices to take their children to the zoo. Teachers gave no homework. There were picnics in the park, and the movie houses and bowling alleys were crowded. All the pushcarts were back on the street, and the pushcart peddlers did more business on that day than they had for 19 years. The whole city was jubilant, except for the truck drivers, of course. The three were quick to see that it would be dangerous to keep the trucks off the streets for more than a few days. Once people became accustomed to having freedom on their streets again, they would fight back against any return of the trucks. So the three agreed that it was imperative to get the trucks back on the streets and back to normal as fast as possible. Big Mo called the mayor and demanded that something be done to make the streets safe for trucks. This was very bad for business, said Big Mo. Another week of this, and I will be out of business. Mayor Cud was naturally sympathetic. He summoned the city council, and the council proposed to put a tax on tax sold to anyone under the age of 21. It was thought that if this tax were high enough, the council had set the rate at $1 for every pound of tax. This would discourage children from buying tax in any quantity. This proposal, however, was not enough to satisfy the truck drivers. What guarantee was there, they demanded, when the newspapers published their proposals that persons over 21 might not take it into their heads to shoot the truck tires themselves? Frank the Flower, Big Mo pointed out to Mayor Cud. Frank the Flower, Big Mo pointed out to Mayor Cud, was clearly over 21. Yes, but he's a crackpot, said the mayor. Maybe, said Big Mo, but you listen to this. My wife tells me that a very fancy store on Fifth Avenue uptown put in its windows 2 days ago a Frank the Flower hat for ladies. The price of that hat is $29.95. $29.95 for a crackpot hat? Said Mayor Cud. That is not the point, said Big Mo. The point is that the store already cannot even keep up with orders of this $29.95 hat. What do you mean already? Asked Mayor Cud. I mean already before today's paper, in which I see a full-page advertisement for these style hats, said Big Mo. Look at the paper, said Big Mo. There's a big drawing of the hat, and underneath it, it says, a real traffic stopper. It also says, do truck drivers whistle at you? This will really flatten them. That was the advertisement. Also, said Big Mo, I should warn you that a fashion magazine in which my wife reads has on its cover this week the movie star Wenda Gambling in that same $29.95 Frank the Flower hat. And I would like to know what you have to say when your wife asks you if she can buy a $29.95 hat such as Wenda Gambling is wearing. Well, my wife does not ask my advice about hats, said Mayor Cud. Naturally, said Big Mo, and that is the danger. Children are bad enough, but if ladies get into this, and it's a popular trend, we are finished. The mayor did see the danger. He called the city council together again, and the council amended the new tax ruling to cover the sale of tax to persons of all ages. What's going to happen now? Tax on tax.